if I told you there's a country where women boast one of the highest literacy rates in Asia, yet many are still pressured into marriages arranged by astrological charts, sometimes meeting their husbands for the first time at the altar? How can a country with one of Asia's richest traditions also rank among the world's worst for gender equality? And how did fishermen balancing on stilts turn survival into one of the island's most iconic images? This is Sri Lanka, a land where beauty, tradition, and mystery collide in ways the world rarely talks about. Stay with me, because the secrets of this island will change the way you see it forever. Let me start with something that will surprise you about Sri Lankan women. When you arrive in Sri Lanka, one of the first things you notice is the striking presence of its women. Their beauty reflects a blend of Asian elegance, Arab sharpness, and Euro-Asian charm. Yet what makes them truly remarkable goes far beyond appearance. Sri Lanka boasts one of the highest female literacy rates in Asia, with a rate of over 91%, according to the World Bank. That means more than 9 out of 10 women can read, write, and often communicate in English. This level of education explains why they connect so easily with visitors and succeed in diverse fields. Daily life reveals this balance of tradition and modernity. Women wear saris at weddings, then ride scooters to work. They become doctors, teachers, lawyers, and entrepreneurs, while also managing homestays for tourists. Educated and ambitious, they embody progress, yet remain deeply tied to cultural expectations. In rural areas, arranged marriages are still common, with couples sometimes meeting for the first time on their wedding day. Astrology also plays a significant role. Unfavorable charts can end a match before it even begins. Family pressure is intense, especially for women over 23, who may already be viewed as late to marry. Despite literacy and professional success, traditional gender roles, social stigma around divorce, and family expectations continue to shape their choices. The result is a society where modern achievements coexist with centuries-old customs, showing how progress and tradition remain inseparably linked. But if education opened doors for Sri Lankan women, why do so many still find those doors locked by invisible barriers? Next. Sri Lanka has made progress in women's education and health, yet gender inequality remains entrenched through patriarchal norms and legal restrictions. A 2025 gender equity report shows women still lag behind men in access to resources and economic participation, with inequality continuing to shape health outcomes. Despite high educational attainment, Sri Lanka ranks only mid-level globally, 71 out of 189 on the Gender Inequality Index, and 102 out of 153 on the Global Gender Gap Report, due to low female workforce participation and political representation. Outdated laws regulating marriage and reproductive rights limit women's autonomy, and although a Women, Peace, and Security Action Plan was launched for 2023 to 2027, experts note that several measures may be more aspirational than enforceable. Patriarchal culture also drives political exclusion. In the 2024 presidential election, none of the 38 candidates were women, and women currently hold just 5.3% of parliamentary seats, with quotas proving insufficient to overcome bias. In the workplace, gender pay gaps persist, and experts stress that structural and cultural change is essential for women's leadership. Some initiatives are challenging these barriers, such as Amba Yalu, Sri Lanka's first women-run resort, which provides training and safe career pathways in a male-dominated sector. Still, survivors of gender-based violence face social, cultural, and economic obstacles to justice, with reports to SIDA underscoring how patriarchal norms and weak institutions continue to limit protections for women and marginalized groups. Now, stepping away from politics and power struggles, let's dive into a tradition that feels almost timeless and magical, something you'll only find along Sri Lanka's southern coast. Along Sri Lanka's southern coast, a practice exists that is found nowhere else: stilt fishing. In villages such as Woolagama, Ahangama, and Kogala, men perch on wooden stilts planted in the shallow sea, balancing on a small crossbar while holding slender fishing rods, waiting patiently for their catch. This ancient method uses no boats or nets. Stilts, usually 2 to 3 meters high, allow fishermen to remain silent and avoid disturbing the fish. Hours can be spent watching the tides, reading the sea, and waiting for the right moment. It is a technique built on patience, balance, and a deep knowledge of ocean currents. The practice is as much about skill as survival. Fishermen learn to blend into the marine environment, sensing subtle movements in the water and recognizing when conditions are perfect. Such knowledge has been passed down for generations, reflecting the ingenuity of traditional Sri Lankan fishing. Today, stilt fishing has largely declined, replaced by more efficient modern methods. Yet the image of fishermen poised on stilts remains one of Sri Lanka's most iconic cultural symbols. They appear in postcards, documentaries, and tourist photographs, representing the island's heritage. In some places, locals still demonstrate the practice for visitors, preserving tradition while adapting it to modern economic needs. From the calm waters where fishermen balance on stilts, let's move to another side of Sri Lanka's water story, one that reveals a growing crisis hidden beneath the surface. Sri Lanka's water resources are facing mounting challenges, and recent research has brought this into sharper focus. Climate-driven droughts are concentrating pollutants in rivers and wells, worsening both surface and groundwater quality, while national assessments in 2025 revealed that up to 3.8 million people depend on groundwater of questionable safety due to high levels of chloride, nitrate, fluoride, and other contaminants. Studies of major rivers such as the Mahaweli and Kelani confirm this trend, recording rising bacterial loads and increasing chemical pollution, particularly in lower catchments affected by industrial discharge and agricultural runoff. Plastic and effluent pollution are also emerging as serious threats, with experts warning that rivers are being pushed toward irreversible damage, while coastal ecosystems and lagoons continue to degrade from sewage, hospital waste, and microplastics. Urban growth and household mismanagement contribute further to the strain, making local participation essential in prevention. The environmental cost was most visible in the 2021 MV Express Pearl marine disaster, which spilled chemicals and plastic pellets off Colombo. In 2025, Sri Lanka's Supreme Court ordered over $1 billion in compensation after the spill killed hundreds of marine animals, disrupted fisheries, and devastated marine biodiversity. Together, these findings show that while access to water has improved in some areas, ensuring its safety and sustainability remains an urgent task for the country's future. But water isn't the only element under pressure. On land, another battle rages between humans and one of Sri Lanka's most majestic creatures. Sri Lanka's human-elephant conflict has intensified in recent years, with research showing that between 2015 and 2024, more than 1,100 people and over 3,400 elephants lost their lives as competition for land and resources increased. In 2023, the country recorded 182 human accidents, 155 more in 2024, and several incidents in early 2025, while elephant deaths continue to average more than 200 each year. Conservationists link this situation to the rapid decline of forest cover, from around 70% a century ago to just 16% today, which has pushed elephants into farmland and villages. In fact, over 70% of elephant range now overlaps with human settlements. As a result, there have been more crop raids, property damage, and elephant damage caused by harmful human practices. Infrastructure has also contributed, with train collisions alone leading to the killing of 24 elephants in 2023 and 9 in 2024, including 6 in a single incident near Minaria in 2025. Although the government has increased investment in awareness programs, fencing, and community projects, progress is limited by fragmented habitats, blocked elephant corridors, and growing human pressure on land, making peaceful coexistence one of the country's most important conservation challenges. And while the elephant is a powerful symbol of Sri Lanka, sometimes it's the tiniest creatures that create the biggest surprises for visitors. Fish massage spas in Sri Lanka blur the line between therapy, tourism, and amusement, offering travelers an experience both playful and memorable. Known as fish therapy or Dr. Fish treatments, they invite visitors to dip their feet into tanks filled with Gararufa fish, tiny, toothless creatures celebrated as nature's gentle exfoliators. The sensation is immediate and unusual. Dozens of fish swarm around the skin, producing a ticklish, tingling feeling as they nibble away dead cells. First-timers often burst into laughter, making the activity as entertaining to watch as it is to experience. Popular spots include the Madhu River near Bentota, where natural surroundings add to the novelty, and Lord's Restaurant in Negombo, Where the social aspect shines, guests enjoy not only the treatment but also each other's reactions. Beyond fun, fish spas connect to Sri Lanka's broader push for sustainable, nature-based tourism. Many operate alongside restaurants, cultural centers, or eco-tourism projects, creating integrated experiences that support local communities and highlight biodiversity. For visitors, the fish spa embodies what travel in Sri Lanka often delivers, something unexpected, slightly outside the comfort zone, yet ultimately delightful. It leaves not only smoother feet but also stories and laughter that linger long after the journey ends. Did you like this video? Don't forget to hit the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps me out, and I promise to bring you more awesome content. If you've ever thought of traditional dance as something delicate and feminine, Sri Lanka will completely change your perspective. The VS dance of Kandi is one of Sri Lanka's most sacred traditions, practiced for over 2,000 years. More than performance, it is a spiritual ritual connecting dancers to the divine through movement, rhythm, and discipline. The tradition is exclusively male. Women are not only barred from performing but are also forbidden from touching the sacred costumes. No exceptions exist, and modern ideas of gender equality have not altered these boundaries. To become a VS dancer requires years of rigorous training, mastering complex movements, building physical strength, and learning the rhythms of traditional drumming. The most significant milestone is the VS Mangalia ritual, a sacred initiation that allows a dancer to wear the VS costume in official ceremonies. This costume is elaborate, consisting of more than 25 silver or silver-plated ornaments. The headdress, nearly half a meter tall, is its most sacred piece, symbolizing the dancer's link to divine forces. The sanctity of the costume is central to the tradition. Women are prohibited from handling any part of it, reflecting the belief that such contact would offend the spiritual power it carries. Though not enforced by law, these boundaries are deeply respected within the culture. One of the most surprising experiences for visitors to Sri Lanka has nothing to do with food or customs. It's how people say yes and no. In much of the world, a nod means yes and a head shake means no. But in Sri Lanka, a gentle side-to-side head wobble often signals agreement, understanding, or simply I'm listening. This can create instant confusion. A shopkeeper may shake their head while saying yes, of course, leaving first-time visitors convinced they've been refused when they're actually being warmly helped. Body language here goes well beyond the yes-no difference. A polite smile and silence can serve as a soft refusal, avoiding direct confrontation or embarrassment. A slight lift of the eyebrow means I'm listening or go on. Placing a hand on the chest during a greeting or thank you conveys deep sincerity and respect. And when locals lower their heads while handing or receiving items, especially with elders, it reflects a cultural emphasis on humility and hierarchy. These gestures form a language of their own, reinforcing respect and kindness in everyday interactions. For travelers who learn to read them, the result is a richer connection with Sri Lankans, transforming moments of confusion into opportunities for genuine cultural understanding. Cultural quirks aside, many Sri Lankans are making life-changing decisions that reach far beyond body language. Let's look at why so many are choosing to leave the island. Sri Lanka has seen a remarkable rise in outward migration, with more than 300,000 people moving abroad in both 2022 and 2024. Remittances continue to play a vital role in supporting families and the wider economy. However, a notable trend is the growing number of skilled professionals seeking opportunities overseas in fields such as healthcare, education, engineering, and research, including a 2024 PLOS One study and a 2025 BMS journal paper, connects this movement to factors like employment challenges, wage levels, limited career growth, and broader economic conditions. Reports from EconomyNext Daily FT, Sri Lanka Brief, and South Asia Monitor emphasize that this shift carries long-term implications, particularly for sectors that rely heavily on specialized expertise, with some areas already experiencing workforce gaps, such as the electricity sector, where nearly 1/5 of engineers have migrated. Today, with the Sri Lankan diaspora surpassing 2 million globally, the Grey Face conversation captures public interest by highlighting a complex balance. While migration strengthens households through remittances and international networks, It also redirects valuable human capital that could contribute to Sri Lanka's future development. And speaking of choices, here's one that may surprise you. Sri Lankans are famous for producing the world's best tea, yet when it comes to daily life, many of them reach for something else. Sri Lanka is one of the world's leading tea exporters, globally renowned for its plantations and the celebrated Ceylon tea brand. The hills of Nuwara Eliya, Ella, and Kandy yield teas so distinctive that connoisseurs can identify them in blind tastings. Tea here is more than agriculture, it is a cultural symbol and source of national pride. The emerald terraces of the estates, with workers in colorful saris plucking leaves by hand, have become enduring images of Sri Lankan heritage and craftsmanship. Locally, tea is central to daily life. Strong black tea brewed with milk and sugar creates the rich milk tea offered in every household as an expression of hospitality and respect. Sharing tea is a ritual that binds communities as much as it energizes them. Yet coffee has grown into a powerful cultural counterpoint. Urban youth and professionals crowd Colombo's cafes, favoring espresso drinks and cold brews that signal a modern, cosmopolitan lifestyle. Traditional kopi remains popular, but global coffee culture has firmly taken root. This shift carries a striking historical irony. In the 19th century, coffee, not tea, dominated the highlands until coffee leaf rust devastated plantations. Planters turned to tea, inadvertently building the industry that defines Sri Lanka's global image today. Now the country exports tea worldwide while coffee consumption rises at home, a contradiction that reflects how globalization, generational change, and economics reshape even the most established national identities. Which do you prefer in your daily life, tea with its deep traditions or coffee with its modern, cosmopolitan vibe, and why? Let us know in the comments below. But behind every cup of tea or coffee, there's a story you don't always see, the lives of the people who work the plantations. Sri Lanka's tea plantations, long celebrated for their global contribution, are now receiving closer attention for the lives of the communities behind them. In 2024, the government raised the daily minimum wage for estate workers from $3.33 to $5.67. A welcome step, yet researchers note that it still falls short of meeting basic living costs in a time of rising prices. Many families continue to live in line rooms, one-room dwellings dating back to colonial times, where limited access to clean water and sanitation remains a challenge highlighted by UN experts. Women form the backbone of the workforce, but their responsibilities often extend beyond the fields, with unpaid care duties and limited access to healthcare and education shaping their daily reality. Economic hardship has also increased the risk of children being drawn into work, a concern flagged by the U.S. Department of Labor. Meanwhile, reports in 2024 to 2025 observed that even estates certified as ethical sometimes faced issues such as low wages, inadequate facilities, and children missing school. International organizations like the ILO and UNICEF further emphasized the need to strengthen health, nutrition, and social protection in these communities. Historically, the estate sector, rooted in the recruitment of Tamil workers during colonial rule, has recorded some of the lowest household incomes in the country, with housing often tied to employment, limiting mobility. Today, economic pressures, shifts in global demand, and experiments with mechanization continue to reshape the sector, underscoring the importance of ensuring that progress in the tea industry also uplifts the people who sustain it. And while the plantations reveal the struggles of everyday life, festivals show us the joy, energy, and spirituality that unite this country. Every April, Sri Lanka bursts into celebration for the Sinhala and Tamil New Year, the island's largest and most vibrant festival. Unlike the Western New Year, it begins not at midnight but at a precise astrologically determined moment, Nakath, when celestial forces are believed to realign. Daily activities pause as families engage in prayer, ritual bathing, offerings, and the lighting of sacred fires, acknowledging the cosmic link between nature and human life. People wear traditional attire, while tables overflow with sweets like kokis and kavam, alongside spicy and sour dishes showcasing the richness of Sri Lankan cuisine. The rhythmic beat of drums echoes through villages and cities, fueling the festive atmosphere. One of the most distinctive customs is the ritual coconut throwing, meant to ward off misfortune and invite blessings for the year ahead. Families, neighbors, and entire communities join in, laughing and cheering as shells crack open, moments that are both sacred and playful. Children receive gifts and enjoy folk games, while adults exchange blessings and visit relatives, reinforcing bonds of family and friendship. From climbing grease poles to blindfolded pot smashing, traditional contests add energy and joy. The New Year blends spirituality, ritual, and festivity, uniting Sri Lankans across generations in a celebration that honors cosmic rhythms, cultural heritage, and communal spirit. Have you ever visited a museum where the admission requirements include diving gear, an oxygen tank, and basic swimming skills, where fish serve as security guards, and coral growth becomes part of the permanent collection? Off the coast of the UNESCO World Heritage City of Galle lies one of Sri Lanka's most unusual cultural attractions, the Galle Underwater Museum. Opened in 2020 by the Sri Lankan Navy, it rests about 50 feet below the ocean's surface, requiring snorkeling or diving gear to explore. The site features dozens of large-scale sculptures placed across the seabed depicting Kandyan warriors, ancient divers, marine creatures, and cultural symbols of Sri Lanka. Made of eco-friendly concrete, they are built to resist saltwater erosion while providing surfaces for coral and marine life to colonize. Unlike traditional museum pieces, these works are designed to evolve. Over time, they become living structures, transforming into artificial reefs that shelter fish, crabs, and other species. Some sculptures already host thriving marine communities, blending art and conservation into one. The effect is striking, statues slowly overgrown with coral, fish darting between them, and crabs patrolling their bases, creating a gallery in constant transformation. Visitors don't just view static art, but witness culture and nature merging into living ecosystems. But while art and conservation thrive underwater, life on land tells a more sobering story about the struggles of ordinary families. Sri Lanka's economic crisis has undone years of poverty reduction, with rates climbing to 27.1% in 2023 before easing to 24.5% in 2024, projected to reach 22.7% in 2025, still nearly double the 11.3% level of 2019. The World Bank and local studies note that household welfare remains weak, as about 60% of families report lower incomes alongside persistent food insecurity and inequality. Monetary poverty figures, however, show only part of the story. UNDP's 2022 Multidimensional Poverty Index found 2.9% of Sri Lankans, or roughly 667,000 people, to be multidimensionally poor, with another 14.3% vulnerable, reflecting broader gaps in education, health, and living standards. Analysts argue these conditions reveal structural causes, limited reforms, fragile safety nets, and uneven development. Reports by OD Global, SIPA, and the World Bank stress that reducing poverty in the long term depends on deeper structural and sectoral changes, not only on short-term economic recovery. Official statistics may also underestimate the scale, since Sri Lanka's poverty line, set at $199 per person per month in March 2024, remains below international thresholds. Using wider measures, experts suggest that real poverty could exceed 30%. These findings underline that poverty in Sri Lanka is not just a temporary crisis but a structural issue tied to systemic weaknesses in the economy and institutions. And yet, despite these hardships, many people around the world still dream of moving here. Why? Because daily life in Sri Lanka is far more affordable than you might imagine. Sri Lanka attracts nearly 3 million tourists annually and an increasing number of retirees, not only for its beauty and heritage but also for its affordability. Living costs are roughly 30% of those in the U.S. This makes it appealing for long-term stays, retirement, and remote work. A one-bedroom apartment in a city center rents for $200 to $380 per month, while suburban options cost $150 to $270. Utilities, including electricity, water, gas, garbage, and internet, add just $45 to $60 monthly, with reliable connections for remote work. Dining is inexpensive. Local restaurant meals cost $2 to $4, while international-style restaurants charge $10 to $15. Cooking at home runs about $100 to $150 monthly, covering tropical fruits, vegetables, fish, and imported goods. Transport is equally affordable, with public transit passes at $10 to $20 and taxes starting around 30 cents. with 50 cents per kilometer. Gym memberships cost $15 to $30 per month. Healthcare is high quality in urban areas, yet far cheaper than in the West. Dental checkups cost $20 to $40, with more extensive care priced at $30 to $50. A 4G SIM card with data costs $10 to $20 monthly, and entertainment or local travel adds $50 to $100. Altogether, an expatriate can live comfortably on $500 to $900 per month, enjoying good housing, diverse food, transport, healthcare, and leisure. For many, these economics turn Sri Lanka from a vacation spot into a practical, long-term lifestyle choice. We've just explored the beautiful and complex land of Sri Lanka together, uncovering secrets that reveal why this island nation captivates everyone who takes the time to truly understand it. Now I'm curious about your perspective. With living costs at just 30% of us levels, would you consider making Sri Lanka your home base for remote work or retirement? Comment with 1 if yes, 0 if no. And if you want detailed information about visa processes and requirements for extended stays in Sri Lanka, comment with yes, and I'll create a comprehensive guide for you. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being with us. Leave a comment, like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more exciting videos. See you next time.